Welcome to the Middlesex Moments radio show. I'm Dr. Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, right here in Middletown, Connecticut. And joining me today is Christine Witkowski, who is a science professor here at the college, and Joy Hansen, a librarian here at the college. And together they are the co-chairs of the sustainability team. And what we're going to talk about is Earth Day, Earth Week, and sustainability in general. So where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with sustainability in general. How's that?
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so what is sustainability?
Well, there's a lot of different definitions of sustainability, but really it's looking to see what we're doing today that's going to affect our future generations. That's how I would put it in a nutshell. What about you, Christine?
I agree. You know, one of the things that happens when people start talking about environmental issues is they focus on they use language like, you know, we have to save the earth. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I always say that the earth, and I'm a geologist, and I always say the earth is going to be just fine. It's going to go on without us, but it's a question of will it be able to sustain us going forward? And that's the piece that we forget about.
Right.
Yep.
Right, which is sometimes, I think, why you see, at least I'm seeing, a new word creep in, which is resilience, right? Because we're working against a lot of odds, and whether or not we're resilient is going to tell the answer to whether or not we'll be here thousands of years from now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it really affects a lot of different issues, and so that you can really get behind whatever issue is maybe more important to you than the other, let's say. You know, so it affects, you know, our environmental issues, energy, our use of energy, recycling efforts and that kind of thing, which makes our sustainability team so much fun because everybody brings to the table their own interests and their own expertise, and we all work together on that bigger issue of sustainability.
So the sustainability team is going to be organizing a whole lot of activities, right, coming up. So what are you going to do?
Well, so we have a whole week of activities. We call it Earth Week here, although Wesleyan has us beat because they've got Earth Month this year. But we're partnering with them as well.
But it has to be, we have to be fair to say that we started with Earth Day. We were going to do Earth Day, and then we came up with all these other ideas that it just ventured out into the whole week.
Yes, yes. It keeps expanding.
Yes.
Good. And we are part of the Earth Month through Wesleyan because they're cross-promoting our Earth Day event, which is a workshop on monetary reform as a catalyst for sustainability. And that's going to be led by one of our own instructors here, Justin Good. And that's going to be on Earth Day, Monday the 22nd, starting at 11 a.m. and running until 1.
Yeah, he's presenting with his colleague Michael Harris. They're from, they work with SoundShares of Connecticut, so they're going to talk a little bit about that organization. It's an event that's open to the community.
Wonderful. I'm thinking, well, if they're doing Earth Month, maybe next year we should do Earth Year. Not too competitive, but
every day can be Earth Day.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, we have to take a break because time goes by very quickly, and when we come back, we'll talk some more about all these things we have planned. Well, welcome back. I'm Anna Wasesha at Middlesex Community College, today talking with Joy Hansen and Christine Witkowski about Earth Week here at the college. Earth Month, maybe a little bit. We're talking about Wesleyan's Earth Month, and then next year we're going to have Earth Year. So, boy, that'll be a lot to plan, right? Right. We're going to start planning. So, Earth Week. So, and you had started with SoundShares, and that's the kickoff event, and the kind of deals with the theme. And the theme is what this year?
Right. The theme is Act Local, Think Global. So we're thinking that, you know, tying it into the community and how our students, faculty, and staff can really get involved either in their everyday lives, their personal lives, connect up to local communities, community organizations, and, you know, just kind of keep it simple. But those simple things really go a long way. And while they're doing those simple acts, really thinking what it means for our global society.
In my own life, I came to it through food. You know, I think every time you buy food, it's an environmental
act. I think that's the one a lot of people start with.
Yeah, because we're all eaters, right? Well, so how did you get interested in the environmental movement? Why does it speak to you?
I really think it's just something that, you know, you start to throw something away and you're like, wow, you know, what is there going to be enough room in the landfill at some point for all of the things that I'm throwing away? Or you start thinking about those, you know, local farmers. Are they going to have enough people going to them and buying their goods to sustain them and to keep them viable? I want to keep them in my community. I want to eat local food. I want to buy local plants and that kind of thing. And so it really just started as just simple thoughts that then I started talking to other people, and they had those simple thoughts too, and I just thought, well, that's something that I'm interested in, and so let's all get together and start planning something and doing things that, you know, maybe can be bigger than all of us individually.
Yeah, I think that our generation grew up with the full flowering of planned obsolescence, and
Yeah.
and I always think back, you know, to when I was much younger, and especially watching my mother. The idea that you would buy, say, a winter coat that you expected to keep for
Right.
10 or 20 years.
Right, we're such a disposable
Right.
society now. You buy things that you know you're going to have to replace in a couple of years, or the manufacturers know that you're going to replace in a couple of years.
Right.
That's the point. Yeah.
And actually, we have a manufacturing program here at the college, and Hubert Godin, who runs it, he's said this to me so many times. It's really stayed with me, which is one would think that students interested in manufacturing would come with a set of basic skills, and then you would, of course, teach them how to manufacture something on a larger scale. But he gets students who come to him who have never used a screwdriver or swung a hammer, and he would say, you know, you have to realize it's because they never learned how to fix anything, because
Right.
we don't really fix anything, we just throw it away. And so that whole era of growing up on Saturdays, you know, trying to figure out how to fix the vacuum cleaner or whatever it is gone. It's done.
Yeah.
And
this-
cars are the same way. It's all computerized now, so there's not much you have to fix.
Right. This fall, a group of student, faculty, and staff went to the Source to Sea cleanup. We were involved in that project in October, so we were down at the Middletown, down at the river, the Connecticut River here in Middletown, and we were picking up and just cleaning up and everything. And the things that we found, it really speaks to that. You know, people are just disposing of things, and it's just these big things and small things, and they're just sitting there, and what's happening to them. And so times that by 100 and 1,000, and it's just really, really
And millions and billions.
billions. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
really is very poignant, very.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
awful. You know, the kind of dead zones around majors. It's certainly true around China. I don't actually know but there were garbage barges here that were floating around trying to find a place to land and let somebody offload the garbage.
Right.
China basically has been disposing it in the ocean. Just take it out and dump it. So the whole, you know, perimeter of Asia is really in trouble because of that, because they weren't just throwing cardboard in the ocean. So okay, so
you know what that really leads into
Okay,
our
good.
event on Tuesday, April 23rd, doesn't it?
It really does. That was amazing.
Perfect.
Yep. On Tuesday, we're going to be partnering with Kim O'Rourke, who is the Middletown Recycling Coordinator, and she's going to come help us do a waste audit here on campus, because Middletown is working to become a zero waste community, and we want to be a part of that effort. So she's going to work with the team and hopefully a group of students to audit the waste that we all will throw away on Earth Day. And we're literally going to pour the trash out onto tarps, and we're going to categorize and count it and weigh it and see how much is being thrown away that potentially could have been recycled, or, you know, other alternatives could be considered. So it should be very educational and give us some data that we can use to plan some educational efforts for improving our waste issue here on campus.
Do you have a hypothesis about what percent?
Oh,
Or do you want to hazard a guess?
Oh, as far as how much should have been recycled? Oh, I would guess probably a third or a half even.
We'll have to check in when
Yeah.
it's over and see.
I hate to go on record, but
Yeah.
we do notice, just anecdotally, you know, looking around now that we have good recycling bins everywhere, that we still see quite a bit in the trash that just isn't being thrown away properly, or it isn't being recycled properly.
I think we started, I don't know what it's like in Connecticut, we started out in Minnesota with blue bins, right? So the city would give you a blue bin, a very small blue bin, and you would put your stuff in it, and you still had your gigantic trash can, right? And my hope and prayer is that that will someday be reversed, and we'll have a little tiny bag with whatever, you know, couldn't be composted or couldn't be recycled that you actually truly have to put into the waste stream. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and then there's also the element of whether or not we need to be either throwing away or recycling things to begin with. Like in terms of packaging, did we need to buy the things that we then have to deal with in some way as far as disposal? You know, did we need all of that packaging, all of that single serve or single use type of product? So there's a whole educational piece around those issues as well.
And they're also, you know, I'm still a firm believer that you kind of, in a way, have to change laws and then behaviors will follow. I think segregation is a perfect example of that. Had we waited for people to say, yeah, integration would be wonderful, we might not have ever gotten there. There are cities, D.C. is one of them, where you would have to pay money to get a plastic shopping bag. if they even sell plastic. Maybe you have to pay money to get a paper a bag because the plastic itself is a problem.
And
you know, if you just legislate that.
With habits. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you get into either a bad habit or you get into like a better habit kind of thing. I mean, there's a book, The Power of Habit, and really what it's saying is, you know, the more you do it, the more it just becomes second nature. And I think that's the same thing with recycling. You know, even if I'm in a meeting and I'm looking at a piece of paper, and I see that, you know, somebody did it one-sided, you know, and I'm like, what's up with that? You know, I mean, it just becomes ingrained that no, you always print two-sided, that kind of thing. I mean, you just reuse and recycle that kind of way. So I think it's just a matter of putting the information out there and educating people about it, and then it becomes that habit. It makes it a lot easier, and then it's going to be more successful that way.
Right.
I think it does help, though, to have those incentives, like you're saying, that if you have to pay for the bags, you know, even 5 cents each, you're going to at least stop and think.
Right.
Whereas
If
you
your
don't,
pocketbook like that.
you know, if that isn't a question that you have to answer and it's all automatic, then you're just going to take those bags. And I find, you know, when I go shopping, I always have reusable bags, and I drive people nuts that shop with me because I always insist that they use one of mine because if they don't have one. But what I find is that even the cashiers, even if I say I have a bag, and they'll say, okay, then they'll still try to put my stuff in a
plastic bag.
It is so automatic.
Yeah,
Right.
You have to do something to stop the automatic nature of certain behaviors.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's true.
So education is what it's all about.
I think it is.
Yeah,
It really is.
and reinforcing habits.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
Yeah, I'm eager to see what the trash audit results in.
I'm eager to see just the whole process
Yeah.
of doing a waste audit like that.
We hope to do it in a very visible location outside
Right.
if the weather cooperates. It can be windy up here, so that could end up creating a problem. So we'll have a backup plan to do it indoors, but we want it to be very visible so that students are noticing what we're doing and start thinking about these issues. And then they'll be ready for it when we come out with, you know, our educational push around these issues.
We really good to get math students involved because it's tallying up, it's doing percentages, it's creating reports and that kind of thing. So we got to get everybody involved.
I thought of that. Yes. I have my environmental science students on board, but I think you're right about the math students.
I think so too.
Not to mention the art students. You can. I mean, the things you pulled out of the river. They must do this here in Minnesota at the State Fair. There's always one enormous piece of artwork that is composed of things that they've taken out of the Mississippi River.
Well, there's definitely
changes
pictures
every
of
year.
the mound of what we pulled out, and then actually some of the students took some of the items and made something new out of them. We had a contest in October for that. They created these upcycled projects, art projects out of what we pulled out of the river. So.
Yeah. So it can go to a
fun.
good end. Well, what else have you got planned?
Well, we should mention while we're talking about waste and recycling
Yes.
is that on Thursday, I believe from 10 to 2,
10 to 3,
10
or
to
till the trucks are
till
filled.
the trucks are filled.
'Cause
We're
it's a
having
popular event.
Yes, we're having the Computer Club here sponsors a computer and electronics recycling event, and that's in our lower parking lot. It's open to the public, so anybody can bring their electronics and computers and drop it off here at no charge.
And there, you know, it's more than electronics and computers. I think it's anything.
It's a long list.
Yeah, anything with a cord or a battery. The actual date of it is April 25th,
25th,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So it's
Thursday.
Thursday, April 25th.
We have a center in Meriden, and actually we're going to be collecting there as well and bringing that up to here, to Middletown, to participate in the recycling event. So we can make sure that we're pulling those items from the Meriden Center
Good.
as well.
Both
So we're
campuses.
connecting both campuses.
Yeah, we don't want those in the
Right.
trash stream. All right, well, we have to take yet another break, and when we come back, let's talk about the rest of the week. Well, welcome back. It's Middlesex Moments Radio Show, and it's we're talking about Earth Week, because Earth Week is the coolest week of the year, and next year it's going to be Earth Year. I just wanted to, this is Anna Wasesha, the president of the college, and I'm talking today with the co-chairs of our sustainability team. I just wanted to go back to this computer electronics recycling event that is being sponsored by our own computer club. So the students are responsible for doing this, and this is the 4th year that they've done it. And I just wanted to say that televisions are the only kind of electronic thing that we can't take. And I think among the three of us at the table, none of us know exactly where these TVs should go, to TV heaven or TV hell. depending on what kind of a TV it is. But there are other things like washers and dryers, which I've also seen pulled out of rivers, which would be much better if they were brought over here and put into the green monster. And little things like Walkmans. And then when people have computers, or if they're concerned about there being, whatever it is, love letters or tax documents or anything in between, they'd make sure that they wipe the disk clean, so you don't have to worry about somebody coming behind you and then finding out your identity and doing nefarious things with that information. So it's a really cool thing, just no TVs. That's where we land.
Right.
So now on to Earth Week, back to Earth Week.
Well, on Wednesday, April 24th, that's the middle of the week there, we're having a presidential tree planting. And we're
Good.
We're creating I don't know really what to call it, kind of a...
Isn't it meant to be an orchard?
It's an
Yes,
orchard.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's multiple layers involved with this. And we started, the first tree was planted last Earth Week. And so now we're planting another tree, and we've also planted other shrubs. And did you want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, I do feel really good about the idea of always trying to add trees, because trees are incredibly useful in terms of processing carbon dioxide, right? So, we have a lot of trees, but on the other hand, this is second growth forest, right? So what we look at is the experience. We can't see it, we can only imagine it, the experience of deforesting an entire state at some point 152 years ago. So we're just, a little like Johnny Appleseed, we're just going to start trying to reestablish some more trees in the open areas that we have on campus. Yeah, and the interstory and the relationships are really important, so I'm hoping that the students will have an opportunity to see that and how that works. Because, really, and again, the 20th century idea of reforesting was not to do biomimicry, not to actually create tree plantings that mimicked what you would see in a wild growth forest, but instead it was the kind of very highly cultivated, aesthetic. What we've done is we've created an aesthetic in our minds that is kind of the antithesis of sustainable landscaping. So we're going to try to turn it around. And I mean, in my lifetime, we're going to convert a lot of our grass over to meadow, and we're going to try to propagate areas that will be good habitat for insects and birds, and just a little bit at a time. So, yeah.
And it'll be very educational as well, because we have an environmental science program here, and those processes, as they unfold, will be things that our students can study in their classes, in and outside of their classes, and they can help with those projects as well.
Right.
So it's very exciting to see that starting to unfold on campus.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's great. We're going to be looking for rabbits and red-winged blackbirds and all these
butterflies and snakes. And not everybody loves the snakes, but
voles.
Yeah, all kinds of good things.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so that's the trees. We're going to do that.
Something that's going on right now, actually, is we're having a photo contest.
Okay, so tell me about that. I haven't heard about that.
So what's happening is that we're asking people to, and this is students, faculty, and staff, to contribute a photo that depicts the theme of our week, which is Act Local, Think Global. And so that could be a lot of different things, really. So it's up to the photographer's perspective as to what that means to them. And there's going to be a contest. We're going to look at the photos and see which one actually depicts that theme the best. And it's going to be the cover photo of our Facebook page, the MXCC Facebook page. I encourage everybody to go out to our Facebook site, like us, and they'll see that photo during Earth Week up on as the cover photo.
Really nice.
And the winner, I believe, is also going to get one of our Living Sustainably at Middlesex T-shirts, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So that's the little
There's
incentive,
merchandising.
I
I didn't
guess.
realize
I think
that.
being the cover photo is
a good prize.
great, right?
Yes. So when will the winner be picked? Did we say the Friday before next Friday?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So in time
it's-
for Earth Day and
Exactly.
Earth
It'll
Week.
be up there the whole
Yep.
week. And I guess maybe the last piece of exciting news that's going on is that at our Meriden Center, we're creating a new student garden club, which I think is really cool. A number of the students have expressed interest in gardening and beautifying the Meriden Center grounds and courtyard. And so they've decided to form a student garden club over there. So.
Yeah, I think that we have these two kind of campuses. It's called a center, but it's a place where students can go and earn an entire degree just by going to school in Meriden. But the sites are so different. It's really highly urban, and we're very suburban here. So there they have to deal with things like the heat island that occurs, because there's so much reflective heat that comes off of concrete surfaces, and there's so little, what would you call it? I guess it's sort of things that take the edge off of the harsh urban environment. So you don't have the moisture can't hang around because you have impervious surfaces on the ground. You don't have as much birds and bees and butterflies to move pollen from plant to plant. And so actually it's an entirely different kind of world, and then they're going to learn a lot. And at the same time, I think they can make it a lot more beautiful too. So I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, yeah.
The first work day was actually last Friday.
And they're going to probably have to meet quite a bit to get their because this is the time when the farmers go into a period of frenzy trying to get everything ready to go.
Definitely.
And the season's very late this year, right? And so people are complaining to me that magnolia trees usually are in full bloom by now, and so I don't know.
The weather really has been up and down. You can't predict it or count on it.
Right.
That's true.
So why don't we talk a little bit in the time we have left about how your environmental science program that you've been revising is changing? Like, what are the elements that are, you must have been thinking, well, this is something I want to be sure that I include in the curriculum now that maybe wasn't thought about, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago when they first put it together?
Right. Well, the main thing that we wanted to address was the fact that the program as it was originally designed was very narrow in its scope. So it focused really almost exclusively on pollution cleanup. And certainly that's an important issue, but there are so many jobs out there in environmental fields that the program that we had wasn't even beginning to address student interest in these various areas. So what we did was create a program that's a little more flexible. It gives students some options so that they can pursue, we have students who are really interested in wildlife and, conservation, endangered species. So they can follow more of a biology-oriented program. And then we have the students who are interested in pollution issues, water quality, air quality, and they'll follow a little bit more physical science path. So it's much more flexible because we found that students are coming in very interested in the environment. We're seeing this, in so many areas of our lives, and students are absorbing that and wanting to pursue that, but they have very little knowledge of what those jobs are. So they come to us just generally interested in environmental science, and then what we're going to do is immediately expose them to some career exploration. So that's another new element in the program, where right away in their first year, students are going to take an Exploring Environmental Careers course. And this is true for people who are majoring in the program or even people just interested in environmental issues. They can take this course and meet potential employers from the community and find out what those jobs entail. So every week there's going to be a guest speaker, and students are going to be meeting those people, asking questions, and finding out what those jobs are, finding out what kind of skills they need to develop. Hopefully it'll be a motivation to them. So I think that's one of the biggest strengths of the new program, that we're really going to help them in a very deliberate way to explore careers. And I think that's something community colleges do really well in general. And so we've added that to the program. So we're really excited about that.
I think that there's been some frustration that the green economy hasn't actually, erupted in the way that we had all hoped that it would.
Right.
But at the same time, I see more interest in solar energy and geothermal energy. I keep waiting for wave energy. What is that called? There's another term for that, but it's from the ocean. It's the repeated motion of the water in the ocean. I believe this next generation is going to graduate into a world where they will be able to earn a living and also, make a substantial contribution to a renewable way of living on the earth.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that to the extent that our program can prepare students for a variety of paths, as those paths open up, I think that's the strength of this program, that it has that flexibility.
Do you think it's, as you think about it, I'm just curious because I've moved from the Midwest to the East Coast, that what one needs to know about the environment is different based on the regions of the country that you live in, or is it all pretty much the same?
Well, I think that's probably true to some extent, but these issues are all bigger than the region as well. So although we do try to focus on what's happening right around us in our community and in Connecticut, within the courses that we do, we always link that to those broader issues that are really happening everywhere. But yeah, so to some extent there are some, more specific issues. Like we have a lot of coastal issues that we have to deal with, sea level rise that, Minnesota doesn't have to.
We don't have to worry about that.
have to face. So
yeah, only. I don't know how many years ago, Lake Agassiz was where the basin is. It was. And it was a huge ocean, but we were at that talk together a few weeks ago with Professor Busa. It must have been like 400 million years ago. I have no idea.
Long time.
How could, you as a geologist, You're probably comfortable with these incredible lengths of time.
I love the
can't-
big spans of time.
Yeah. It's like, for me, a big span of time is a year, right? So Earth year. All right, well, we've run out of time. Speaking of time, and this has seemed like just a blink of an eye, and it is in geological terms. Yeah. So this has been the Middlesex Moments radio show. I want to thank Christine Wachowski and Joy Hansen, our sustainability team chairs, for joining me today. And I'm going to encourage everybody out there to get involved in the sustainability movement in whatever way you like. There's a bazillion things to do, and all of that energy is going to go to a good cause, which is taking care of our future generations. If any of you are interested in learning more about the college, you can find us at mxcc.edu. I'm Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, wishing you a good day.